What, do you got to be a genius to figure this out? All the weapons they use are U.S.-made weapons. Turkey shot down a Russian jet, which, by the way, was shot down over Syrian airspace, and it landed in Syria. There was no warning given. All of you who supported Turkey should be ashamed of yourself. You're nothing but holdovers from the Reagan era. You're so stupid that you think that this is the same Russia as the Soviet Union that Ronald Reagan hated. You idiots can't grow up. You can't open your mind to what's going on here. You're now on the side of Turkey and the ISIS groups. That's what you are. So now NBC tries to do a hit piece on Putin. So they do a piece called Back in the USSR, How Today's Russia is Like the Soviet Era. And they start to do the hit piece. So now here they list how it's like that. One, the anthem. One of the freshly elected decisions was to restore the Soviet national anthem from 1944, the one he grew up with. 2/3 of the Russian population approved of the move by 2002. So that's a bad thing to the communists in this country, or shall I say the new socialists in this country, or shall I say the men without a country in this country. So they don't like the Russian anthem. That's a sign that they're living in the Soviet era. Then it says the party. In Soviet times, there were no parties other than the Communist Party, and membership was a prerequisite for career advancement. Why don't you just substitute the word Democrat Party? And tell me if it's any different in America today. Tell me if it's different amongst the news media today and amongst the politicians today.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE. Savage.
In a world of hatred, I can't hear myself think. It dies down to, I don't know, maybe it's not me. I should work the slider. But anyway, the point is, it's a different universe. People dance to forget their problems. They dance till 4 o'clock in the morning, go to work at 5. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't do it. I never did, even when I was a kid. I'd be home in bed by 2 o'clock. How can you stay out till 5 and go to work in the morning? Stoned out of your mind. Look at the workplace. So, there's so many things I want to talk about, but I'm warming you up still. It's, I don't know what it is. Today's Monday. I got a little bit of a cold. Most people are not even listening. They're still on vacation. They're still on they're in Zonkville. What is it like? It took off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, also off. What in the world? Where are they? What are people doing on vacation this long? 5 days, what, drinking and eating? Parasailing, ziplining. This is what you live for? This is 5 million years of evolution to get drunk on a holiday? I was thinking about that, too. It's an interesting fact, but, ISIS, they don't drink. Muslims don't drink. No alcohol, right? That's why they're unhappy all the time. There's no relief for them, these murderers. The only relief they get is raping and cutting people's throats. So I once had a solution to this problem. I know it's absurd. Instead of dropping bombs for all your peaceniks, what do you think about them flying overhead and the U.S. Air Force under Obama not dropping bombs, but dropping tens of thousands of plastic bottles of airplane booze, the 1-ounce shots, various types, and copies of Playboy all over the ISIS strongholds? I don't know, maybe that'll stop them. Maybe they'll wake up to how stupid they are. Look what they're missing. But if it's a battle between caffeine and alcohol, I don't know who's going to win this one. Alcohol worked to tame the world, by the way. For hundreds of years, the West used alcohol to deaden their feelings as they conquered third world nations and exploited the natives. And so they used alcohol to deaden their feelings as they did these things. But now that political correctness has infected the entire West, you couple that with alcohol, it's a functionless military. So I go back to this article, this hit piece by Back in the USSR, How Today's Russia is Like the Soviet Era. They try to put a hit piece on it. So they start with the anthem, then the party. There's no parties other than the Communist Party. And I say, substitute the Democrat Party and see if that doesn't apply here in America. Now we go to spies. Here's what they write. By the mid-2000s, up to 80% of the Russian ruling establishment was made up of people with backgrounds in security services, according to a study. The trend was confirmed in numerous subsequent studies. Above all, this included the Soviet secret police, the KGB, which handled counter-espionage and brutally suppressed political dissent. Okay, that's real. Now, the KGB successor to the Federal Security Service, the FSB, okay, FSB, if you watch Homeland, that's the FSB, is now both powerful and feared. It is tasked with fighting spies and extremists, but it also monitors the political opposition to the government. Now, question. FBI in America, CIA in America, DIA in America, all DHS in America. Don't you think that they're both powerful and feared? And don't you think they're tasked with fighting not only spies and extremists, but also the American people themselves? Don't you think these organizations in America also monitor the political opposition to Obama's socialist government? Well, of course they do. So what's the difference between the Soviet Union and the USA in this regard? Very little. Dissidents. Now listen to this, what they write, trying to hit, Putin. They write this. Joseph Stalin, the Soviet Union's feared leader who ran the country with an iron fist from 24 to 53, purged, imprisoned, and executed his critics. Even in post-Stalin times, the regime punished those who threatened or disagreed with it, so dissidents were fired, jailed, expelled, confined to psychiatric wards, and harassed by the KGB. That's all true. I read my Solzhenitsyn. But what does it have to do with Putin? They don't do that anymore. They say Russia's opposition today also fights an asymmetric battle. Its leaders face criminal cases and regular arrests. Thugs harass them at events, and officials drown them in red tape. I said, really? Now let's look at America. Let's see what the Obama opposition faces. Let's see. Do the opposition, the opponents of Obama, face criminal cases? Oh, yeah. How about that bakery case? How about all of the people who were punished by the illegal, illegitimate, fascistic IRS or the EPA? Then it says that in Russia, thugs harass opposition leaders at events. Are you telling me that conservatives are not harassed at every event by government thugs or by thugs in America who are working for the government, such as Black Lives Matter, like the National Action Network under Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson thugs? Are you telling me that they're not thugs who are fundamentally working with and for the government? And then they finish by saying, and officials in Russia drown their opponents in red tape. Oh, really? The IRS and the EPA don't do that in our country? Okay, now let's go down the list. I'm deconstructing this for you. This is a very important thing for you to understand. So NBC, in their attempt to continue to smear Putin, are trying to say it's like the Soviet Union, but they can't do it. Moreover, everything they say about Russia applies to America under Obama. I'll read you another one. Media control. Soviet media broadcast only what officials wanted it to, and access to foreign media was banned. In the 2000s, one of Putin's first moves was to bring back under state control the leading television channels, Russia's main source of information. They have since turned into pro-government vehicles. I'm going to ask you straight out, are you telling me that Jake Tapwater, Wolf Blitzer, any of the other clowns on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, or even Fox News, are you telling me then they're not exactly like state-controlled media? Tell me how they differ. Tell me that they're not pro-government vehicles. And then they go on and they undermine their own argument. They say, nevertheless, Russia has many independent small media outlets that offer alternative points of view. Now, because of the internet cable and the accessibility of international print media, Russians can get their hands on a wide variety of organizations. And so what's their point? So there is no overt media control like in the Soviet Union. Now we get down to the meat of what they're really getting to here. Are you ready for this? Let's go to the bottom of this hit piece. Here it comes. This is the mother of all lies. Homophobia. In Soviet times, sodomy, quote unquote, was punished with up to 5 years in prison. In Putin's Russia, quote, promotion of homosexuality, unquote, to minors carries fines and arrests, and public displays of same-sex affection or transgender behavior can result in public abuse. Now they undermine themselves. But homosexuality is not a crime anymore. Even if some people are intolerant of it, and public figures often speak out against it. Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. The fact of the matter is, you know and I know, there are no dangers for people of different sexual orientations in Russia. You know that as well as I. But you also know that there's a war against Putin for a number of reasons, and one of the reasons is this. This is the Savage Nation. Now let's go to calls, 855-400-7282. WABC, John, welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
Dr. Savage, several things. When you drop those little airplane bottles, On ISIS, you ought to wrap condoms around them, too. Then the left will love you for sure.
Well, I don't know about that, but just the airplane bottles and the Playboy would be plenty.
And the Klitschko fight. I watched the same fight as you. He was horrible. He didn't do anything except tackle.
He didn't lift his hands. He was doing it for the money, and he was an embarrassment to the sport. He never should have taken the fight.
I agree. And finally, Government Zero. I got that for my birthday early in the month. I just finished it, and it was perfect timing because in the sociology class that I have.
Are you allowed to bring it to school, or you're going to be fined?
How no good I am, how no good my forefathers were, and how no good this country is. But I just finished reading your book. What a fantastic book. I'm getting ready to write a paper. I'm not going to plagiarize you. I'm going to.
No, go ahead. Make my day. Plagiarize it. Just quote me.
I'm going to give credit where it's due. But you just made my assignment so much easier.
Well, thank you very much for being so kind with your comments. I want to read a paragraph. I wasn't going to do it, but it fits right in. There's a new Wikipedia entry by a physicist named Dr. Jack Sarfati. And here's what he wrote. He said, Savage's latest political book is Government Zero, a well-reasoned, powerfully written critique of the Obama administration's foreign and domestic policies, including Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State. Savage supports Vladimir Putin's policy in Syria and accuses Obama of wanting to destroy Israel. Whether you like him or not, he wrote, Putin is another example of a real leader, page 38. Once Iran has the bomb, he'll blackmail Israel into giving up Judea and Samaria, writes Savage. Not only do they hate the traditional Judeo-Christian values that Israel and America were founded upon, but to liberals like Obama and his fellow travelers in the universities of America and Europe, Israel is the reason the Muslims are on the warpath. This is one of the great lies you'd expect from Adolf Hitler's Ministry of Propaganda, page 75. There's many other things that were written very well. And, of course, as you well know, the haters are going on to Wikipedia to try to undo the truth about me and my book. 855-400-7282. Ray on WABC, what's your topic today?
Yeah, I think Putin's doing a great job attacking ISIS. I think the citizens over there are more safe than we are here.
Let me explain something to you. This is something that the rats at the New York Times have not yet reported. But you know the, quote, Turkoman who shot down the Russian fighter jet on behest of the fascist Muslim dictator Erdogan in Turkey? They don't exist anymore. Do you know that Putin wiped them off the planet? The so-called Turkoman were moderate terrorists. They were Obama's moderate terrorists who we have been funding and giving weapons to. Do you know that as well?
No.
No, see, let me explain something. While everyone sleeps, I do my homework. Remember we heard that the Russian fighter jet was shot down over Turkey? It wasn't over Turkey. It was shot down over Syria. So that's egg all over the face of the neocons in the media who immediately jumped against Putin and said he got what he deserved. You should be ashamed of yourself because you're on the side of Erdogan and ISIS. Now, number two, the Turkoman, so-called, were Obama's, quote, moderate terrorists. Moderate terrorists. Now, isn't that an oxymoron? It is, of course, except to the sorority that runs America. The moderate terrorists are the ones who shot down the plane. Putin unleashed hellfire on them from naval ships, from airplanes. They're no longer existent. He wiped them off the planet. But you don't know about that. So the fact of the matter is a lot is going on behind the scenes, and I try to look behind the scenes to see what it is to bring to you to the show every day. That opens up one line at 855-400-7282. Yeah, there's a lot of good callers out there. We don't have to stick to this. Rich on WMAL, what's your topic? Fire away.
Yes. As far as Putin is concerned, I love the guy. And, you know, if I were president of this country, I'd be hunting with him 3 times a year. You know, this is nonsense what they want to do. And you know, there's a lot of people in this country who understand that Putin is on the right side of this. He is Christian. And
Putin is a Christian leader standing up for Christian values around the world. And the fact of the matter is Obama is the opposite. And the battle on the planet right now is ISIS versus Christ. That's how I saw this. Do you agree with me?
Yes. I see it the same way. You know, I read WND, WorldNet Daily, InfoWars, and all the articles. The most important thing I read are comments, and there's so many people who write in and comment about,